Wasn't that beautiful? In all things, love. The composer, Dan Forrest, took beloved text from 1 Corinthians 13 and other scriptural texts about love to remind us that God is love and invite us to love each other. And the setting of that song is so beautiful, and there are places it's soaring, and the strings, for me, awaken tender cells deep within. Those cells of longing, of sorrow, of grief and hope. We are these days, so many of us beleaguered and guarded. It's hard. It is hard lifting our heads, making it here, being amongst, holding it together. We are doing our best, but everything is a slog. Yet today we hear, in all things, love. In other words, put love at the center. Practice centering something larger than you, than your comfort, than your fear. There are ways in which that is too much. It's too big an ask. It's too big of a lift. Love feels far away or scarce or improbable or too little, too late. Something. And I am with you. I have been in a funk all of my own. And prayer and meditation, usual practices of mine, have been important, but more in the way of helping me cope than in expanding my perspective. And so I have needed to lean into the wisdom of others, including feminist author and activist Bell Hooks, now of blessed memory, whose words pulled us into worship this morning. 20 years ago, she said this: I feel our nation's turning away from love. I feel our nation is turning away from love, moving into a wilderness of spirit so intense we may never find our way home again. She feared that our nation was turning away from love. She feared that our nation was turning away from love 25 years ago. She feared that. Before 9/11, before Afghanistan, before Enron or United Airlines filed bankruptcy, before Hurricane Katrina or the iPhone or the financial crisis or Sandy Hook or same-sex marriage or George Floyd's murder or the pandemic or the armed attack on our nation's capital. Before all of that, she said, I feel our nation is turning away from love, moving into a wilderness of spirit so intense we may never find our way home again. I write of love. I write of love to bear witness both to the danger in this moment and to call for a return to love. She called us to return to love, to speak of love, to sing of love, to tell stories of love, to put love in the center of our lives. And so, yes, here it is. We breathe. We breathe, trying to regulate these dysregulated nervous systems that have us so tense and shut down. Baker told you when we sang the song Meditation on Breathing that we sing it wrong mostly because we treat it like a mental process. When I breathe in, I do this, check. When I breathe out, I do this. Check. Because me, I do it right. Thank you. I am not the problem. But Sarah Dan Jones, who wrote that song, wrote Isle. It was aspirational because it was written in the days following 9/11. When people didn't know if we would survive, where the next bombs would go off, who we would lose next. And so she put love and peace in a song and said, I'm going to tie it to my breath, not that I can do it now, but so that some point I'll be able to breathe in and breathe in love. I'll be able to breathe out, and I'll be able to breathe out peace. It was aspirational. So Bell Hooks is telling us, put love back at the center. Return to love. And could anything feel more pie in the sky just now? Could anything feel more frightening? And then, again, what does it even mean? Put love at the center. Because aside from love being what makes Subaru a Subaru, you wonder what proposal came in second place, don't you? Aside from love being that, or my neighbor's doormat announcing that love lives here. In case you're wondering where it is, it's at my neighbor's house. It does remain overused and ill-defined. And it is easy just to critique the word, the sentiment, the concept on that basis alone. Yeah, I can't do that. What does it even mean? And yet in recent weeks, I again heard Rabbi Sharon Brous, a rabbi that I follow, repeat a personal story that again brought home for me why its lack of rigorous definition shouldn't distract us. After all, there is a way in which, with love, we know it when we see it. Apologies to Justice Potter Stewart, who made the same claim years ago about pornography, but nonetheless. Here's the story. In her last year of college, then Sharon Brous took an economics class. She approached it with a sense of obligation because she knew how displeased her father would be if she graduated from college not knowing how to balance a checkbook or why that was important. So she took this class, and she was swept up immediately by this energetic professor who asserted boldly and thoroughly that everything that happens can be explained through economics. We've got some slow believers out there. But with thorough analysis, this professor made just that case about everything from the ratification of the 13th Amendment to various wars, to the Oklahoma City bombing, to the impact of natural disasters. It was compelling. And both from his tone and his words, it seems like Sharon Brous was a convert. And then on the last day of class, the professor came in and announced, I need to make a confession. All semester, he said, I've told you that everything that happens can be explained through economics. But the truth is there's something that eludes economic analysis and explanation. Now, I imagine, when I'm hearing this, I can just imagine Brous and the rest of her classmates were on the edge of their seats. What could it be? He's taken us through everything. He's taken us through complex historic and current events and explained them all. And it not only made sense, but it rang with deep truth. And I imagine the tension in that room was palpable. Doubt and irritation, questions. Who are you to tell us one thing all semester long, and then on the last day of class, pull the rug out from under us. And I imagine that the professor let that tension sit for one well-timed moment before he looked out and explained, you see, the thing that eludes economic analysis is love. It's love. Because he said there is no rational way to explain the things that people do for love. There is no rational justification for somebody driving hours at personal inconvenience and expense to hold the hand or touch the cheek of someone they love, of someone who is dying, of someone whose heart is broken, of someone in need. And the impact of that on Rabbi Brous has been lifelong. As she said of that moment, it planted in me at 21 the seed that there is a great, mysterious, incalculable force in the universe that overrides all principles, defies all logic, and upends reason. You know, it was French philosopher and mathematician and physicist Blaise Pascal who said a similar thing in the 1500s. He said it like this: the heart has its reasons which reason knows nothing about. Love. Love. Centering something larger than our own self-interest, our comfort, our convenience, it's available to all of us all of the time, and it's illogical. It's irrational. It's mysterious, and it's so powerful. Now, many of us first experience love's power in personal relationships, and I'm not talking about romantic love here. Some of us could name the people who have loved us into being. Those who have held us in specific forms of care that embodied their wish not only for our freedom and our safety and our joy, but also for our fullest and truest becoming. Some of us have even had the privilege and the honor of being one who has loved another into being. It's powerful. And the gift of our religion is that it invites us to extend always our compassion, our solidarity and care beyond the person, to seeking the liberation and wholeness of every person, knowing that we need one another, knowing we are one another's, knowing we belong to each other. Now let's be clear, this message stands outside of what we were taught, what we receive through the media, social or otherwise, or likely hear from our neighbors, regardless of what's on their doormat. And we are caught in a spin cycle of despair, anger, and blame. And before going to bed, we pick up our devices to learn the latest, confirm our viewpoint, cuss a bit or a lot, and wonder, why don't we feel rested in the morning when we, again, pick up our devices, read the latest, confirm our viewpoint, and cuss a little or a lot before starting our day? Our nervous systems are dysregulated. Our bodies are just doing their best to keep us going. Rinse and repeat. Day after day after day after day after day. And yet, there is bell hooks again. I feel our nations turning away from love, moving into a wilderness of spirit so intense we may never find our way home. I write of love to bear witness both to the danger of this moment and to call for a return to love. 25 years ago, Hooks saw this problem. And now we are living it. And it is dangerous. It is menacing. And subconsciously, unconsciously, wistfully, we likely imagined back then, 25 years ago, oh, yeah, it's bad. It's bad. It'll change, though. It'll change. We just put the right people in office, and there'll be something we can do, some pragmatic action we can take, and it won't be as bad. But beloveds, we have been in the wilderness of the Spirit. We have wended our way to a place so remote, so distant from collective liberation and wholeness that we have begun to lose hope, to presume we can no longer turn it around, to live so steeped in fear that life is only about surviving, not thriving. It's only about keeping our head down to just make it through our days. And yet, not so long after Hooks wrote about the danger of the moment she and we were then in, and called us to return to love, she wrote a poem in which she spoke of her own quest with these few words. "Let me be a witness," she wrote. "Let me be a witness to love. Stand on the outside and see tenderness unbidden." This calls on each of us to widen our perspective. You see, I don't think Hooks is suggesting to be in denial about the frightening and fragile place we live in. And yet, in equal measure, she is telling us, confirming what the economics professor said, there are still things happening with love at the core. We can't explain why. We couldn't have predicted them, but there they are. And so she says, notice them too. Bear witness to the love around you. And I think Hooks is reminding us of a truth that we deeply know. A truth we deeply know. It has found its way into wisdom traditions across generations and geographies. Hatred never ends by hatred. Only by love is hatred healed. So when we look only at the bad and let the algorithms work their proscriptive spell to confirm our viewpoint, our bodies and our brains are locked in limbic reactivity, and our views and our actions become shaped solely by fear and hatred. And I don't know about you, except that I do. My best self never comes forward when I'm in hatred and fear. And so we need to make different choices, like actually letting ourselves witness the good, the loving. The small kindnesses around us are surely a good start, and yet there are the ones that are happening in the world too, that are happening writ large. Really, there are. And as I try to retrain myself, to expand my perspective, I've needed to lean into others. Sometimes I amaze myself with how closely I am to Ursula Le Guin's writing when she said, "I am a slow unlearner. I am a slow unlearner, but I love my unteachers. And I love mine too, and I need them." Sometimes what I need is information. Sometimes I need stories, knowing, like Joan Didion, that I need stories to live. And I turn to podcasts like What Could Go Right? Imagine such a thing. A podcast called What Could Go Right? And websites like the Progress Network that give me other happenings than the doom and gloom, that remind me that this time we are in may well be representative of who we are and who we have always been, but it is not who we want to be. And that there are folks who are living into the better angels of our nature. People like Laura Hussman of Arizona State University, who's a creator of something called Solar Spell, which is an offline, I repeat, offline, solar-powered digital library, making education possible where internet access doesn't exist. It's transforming classrooms from remote Pacific Island places to refugee camps. It's empowering teachers and closing the digital divide with nothing but sunlight and ingenuity. Or even news from China, which has pledged to cut its greenhouse gas emissions from latest peaks. And while we could scoff at the largest emitter and their 10% reduction target, we might also note that China has a pattern of under-promising and over-delivering. And so their promise about renewable energy targets that they had for 2030, they actually hit by 2024. And while I have my fears about our free press, the reality is that not all lawsuits have been successful. Our president has seemingly prevailed by garnering settlements with ABC and CBS, but he has lost cases against the New York Times, CNN, the Washington Post, and even the journalist Bob Woodward. And I need these stories. And I need the poets, like Bell Hooks, who reminds me to pay attention and witness love and the guidance. I also need the guidance of how to do so from poets like Rosemary Watala Tromer. Here are some lines from her poem, Because. So I can't save the world. So I can't save the world, she writes, can't even save myself. Can't wrap my arms around every frightened child, can't foster peace among the nations, can't bring love to all who feel unlovable. So I practice opening my heart. I practice opening my heart right here in this room and being gentle with my insufficiency. I practice walking down the street heart first. And if it is insufficient to share love, I will practice sharing love anyway. I tell myself, what's the use of trying? But today, the invitation is clear to be ridiculously courageous in love, to open the heart like a lilac in May, knowing freeze is possible and opening anyway, to take love seriously, to give love wildly, to race up to the world as if I were a puppy, adoring and unjaded, stumbling on my own exuberance, to feel the shock of indifference, of anger, of cruelty, of fear, and stay open to love as if it matters, as if the world depends on it. I need the poets. I need the stories. I need the information. I need the modeling, because always it returns to this. Offering the broken world my practice of loving it anyway is all there is. Thomas Merton said, because love is not just something that happens to you. It is a certain special way of being alive. Love affects more than our thinking and our behavior towards those we love. It transforms our entire life. Those are the stories we need to be telling each other. How we have been transformed by love. And when we return to those stories, can there be any question that that's what's being asked of us right now? So maybe on such a day as this, we commit to ourselves and each other that we will again witness and name and speak as often about love as we do about despair. To love as if it matters, as if the world depends on it. For it surely does. So may it be. All my relations, Shanti, Shalom. Amen.